All right, let's talk about something real. Have you ever felt like you've missed your shot? Like the train has already left the station on your big idea? Well, today, we're going to completely tear that thought apart by looking at the story of a man who proved that your greatest success might still be right around the corner.
Look, we all have that little voice in our head, don't we? The one that whispers, "You're too old," or "It's just too late." So for the next few minutes, let's you and I agree to silence that voice. And we're going to do it by digging into the journey of someone who didn't just start late, he got going when most people are hanging it up for good. Take a look at this number, over 22,000. That's how many KFC restaurants were around the world just a few years ago. I mean, it's a global empire. But what if I told you the guy who started it all spent the vast majority of his life failing, over and over again? The journey to this number was anything but a straight line.
Okay, let's get into it, because before Harlan Sanders was the Colonel, he spent more than 40 years taking a masterclass in failure. He was just trying to find some solid ground to stand on.
I mean, just look at this timeline. He's a farmhand at 10 years old. He fakes his age to join the army at 16. Then he just bounces around. Railway laborer, lawyer, a career that, by the way, ended because he got in a fistfight, and then a whole string of sales jobs where he either got fired or laid off. This is not a career path, folks. This was a man just trying to survive, decade after decade.
So he hits 40. That's an age where a lot of us think, okay, this is it. I should have it all figured out. But for him, this was just the beginning. And his big moment, that big spark, it didn't happen in some fancy office. It happened in the most unlikely place you can imagine.
And this part is so crucial. The secret recipe. It was never just about the 11 herbs and spices. The real secret was him discovering this deep, genuine passion for serving a fantastic meal to a tired traveler at a service station. That passion, that was the real spark.
But here's the thing about finding your passion. It doesn't mean life suddenly gets easy. Nope. In fact, that's usually when the biggest tests show up. I mean, look at this. A competitor gets into an argument that turns into a shootout, and one of his employees is killed. Then a fire burns his entire business to the ground, and after he rebuilds, World War II hits, and he's forced to shut it all down again. Any one of these things would have been the end of the story for most of us.
Now, let's talk about the moment that should have been the final nail in the coffin. This is where he hits absolute rock bottom, long after almost anyone else would have just given up.
So after the war, a new highway gets built, and it bypasses his restaurant completely. His business is toast. So what does he do? He decides to travel around and try to sell his chicken recipe to other restaurants. And all he heard was no, no, and no again. Seriously, just try to put yourself in his shoes for a second. You're in your 60s, you're living out of your car, driving from one town to the next with a pressure cooker and your bag of spices, just asking people to try your chicken. And the message you keep getting is, you're too old for this. This will never work.
He was told no 1,009 times. Let that sink in. Not 10 times, not 100. 1,009 doors were slammed in his face before a single one of them said yes. And right here, this is where the entire story flips on its head. At an age where society is telling us to slow down, to plan for retirement, for Colonel Sanders, the real adventure was just about to start.
Just look at this contrast. On one side, you have the typical path. At 65, you're thinking about retirement, you're living off your savings. And on the other side, you've got Colonel Sanders. All he had was his first Social Security check for $105. He could have just disappeared. But instead, he decided to become a traveling salesman for his own dream, building an empire one restaurant at a time.
And even after he sold the company for millions when he was 75, he didn't stop. He was the brand. He was its tireless ambassador. This quote just says it all. I was just getting started. It shows you it was never just about the money for him. It was always about the mission.
So, after hearing this absolutely wild story, what are we supposed to take away from it? What does this mean for you, for your goals, for that idea you've been sitting on?
So what's the playbook here for us? It's actually pretty straightforward. His story proves that failure is just practice, that rejection is just part of the process of getting the yes, and that your true passion can show up when you least expect it. But above all, it shows that pure, stubborn perseverance is the most important ingredient you can have.
The Colonel's secret ingredient wasn't a spice. It was perseverance. So I'm going to leave you with this question. What's yours? What's that thing that's going to get you through your own 1,000 no's? Because if his story proves anything, it's that it is never, ever too late to get started. Your story is far from over.